Hello, hello, hello. It's a wonderful day, and we are here by the grace of God, His loving kindness, and His tender mercies. He is so good to us, and I am so thankful. And as I say, He's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That's the God we serve. Now, I have been listening today, and God has been speaking to me, and He speaks to me every day. But this day, He's been really dealing with me about Him hearing our prayer. And the Spirit said to me, I heard you the first time. So what I'm saying is that God is saying that He heard us the first time we prayed. He heard us the first time we prayed. So I'm going to get into that, and I have some scripture here that I'm going to get into about prayer. Prayer. And I am going to go to my notes here. He's been dealing with me as I was moving around and doing things today in the house. God has really been dealing with me about prayer, and this is what He put on my mind. These are some of the things. I can't relate everything to you because there's so much, but what He has blessed me to get together, which is just enough to give to you what He has had me and working with today and dealing with me as I moved around the house doing different things today. God heard us the first time. Matthew, the 6th chapter and the 7th verse tells us, but when ye pray, listen to this, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. He heard us the first time. All right? Now, take heed. I'm still in Matthew. Take heed. Take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say to you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, repeating, this is the second verse, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. After this manner, therefore pray, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pray after this. He said the vain repetitions don't do that because we've asked him, we've prayed to him. He's heard us, and the answer is on the way. I guarantee. Okay, and I'm going into Daniel with some more of this, but I just wanted to do this. And here's something very important. For if ye forgive men that their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Now we're talking about prayer, and God hears us. And he said, I heard you the first time. He heard us the first time we prayed. And I want you to remember this. I want you to keep this in your mind that he heard us the first time. Now I'm going to Daniel. To Daniel. And there are two parts of this that I want to read. In those days, Daniel was mourning, Mourning, 3 full weeks. That's Daniel, the 10th chapter, and let me see, that is I think it's the second verse. No, that's the first verse. Yes, the 10th chapter and the first verse. Now let me skip to this. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia, now listen to this. This is the message that came to Daniel. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now we're going to the Living Bible, and this is what is going on. Then he said, this is the angel that came. He said, don't be afraid. This is the voice. Daniel, for your request, listen, God heard us, okay? Your request has been heard in heaven and was answered the very first day you began to fast before the Lord and pray for understanding. That very day I was sent here to meet you. This is the angel, listen. Verse 13. But for 21 days the mighty evil spirit who overrules the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. Then Michael, one of the top officers of the heavenly army, came to help me so that I was able to break through these spirit rulers of Persia. Now I am here to tell you what will happen to your people, the Jews, at the end times. For the fulfillment of this prophecy is many years away. Okay, now Daniel had prayed. He'd been in mourning for the Jews, for his people. And God heard the first time he prayed. When he started fasting and praying, God heard him the very first time. And the answer was already given. God answered that day. But the evil spirits held it up, held the answer up for 21 days. I'm telling you, there's some evil spirits in this world today. And we have to realize this. God heard us. Whatever we're praying about or we prayed about, God heard you. He heard me the very first time you prayed about it. So now what we have to do is we know that he's heard us. We know that he has sent the answer, even though the answer might be held up by the evil spirits, but the answer is on its way. The answer is already given. God has already delivered. He has already set free. He has already healed. But the evil spirits are trying to block the blessings. They're trying to block them. They can get in the way. They can hinder them, but they cannot stop them from getting to you. It might take a little longer, but the blessing is on its way. I guarantee. God heard the very first time. So you don't have to repeat it. Just start thanking him for it right now. The blessing is on the way. Held up a little bit, but it's on the way. And those who had prayed a while back and that blessing was held up, you have yours now. Because that's just the God we serve. I'm telling you, God sends the answer. The answer is on the way. So you don't need to just keep over and over again. Where is your faith? Put your faith now. Faith without works is dead. Okay, you've asked God in the name of Jesus. You've given him your request. He knew what you were going to ask before you even asked it. And now, because you're sincere and you're sanctified, he has already answered, but it's been delayed. And I've heard people say, delayed does not mean denied. The answer is on the way. Then you hear what this angel told Daniel. The answer was already given the first day, but I was held up by evil spirits. And I'm telling you, these spirits are fighting like they never fought against us before. And then Daniel, the 10th chapter and 20th verse said, Then said he, Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. He said, okay, Michael helped me to fight. He helped me to break away so that I can come and deliver this message to you. And let me tell you, the message is on the way. God has heard you. So you don't have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Move to something else. Now it's time to start praising him for what you've already asked him for. So what you're asking for today, start praising him. What you're asking for yesterday, start praising him. What you're going to ask him for tomorrow after you pray about it, then start praising him and thanking him for it because he knows your needs before you ask him. Okay, now let me get to this. Now, in this day and time, I want to tell you, just read this in Daniel. There are things that are going on today, and I don't dwell on and I don't talk about a lot of things, but there is in here in Daniel, the 8th chapter. I want to read this to you. Okay? In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw that I was in Shushan, in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai, or Ulai, I say Ulai, Ulai, okay? And I looked it up, but I didn't look it up in my Bible that gives it the pronunciation, okay? My hard copy. And then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood the river, before the river, a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beasts might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. The 3rd year, all right? And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Now let me go back. This is the 3rd year. Now let me tell you, he was by this river, and it said, but he did, listen, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. All right, I wanted to go back to that. And I was considering, Behold, an he-goat, as I was considering, behold, an he-goat from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. All right? And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision, and sought for the meaning, then, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood. All right, I'm going back over this. And when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia, and the rough goat is the king of Persia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And the power, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper, and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up and did the king's business. And I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. My. And if you would look at those, there's some figures in here. Okay, I thought about 2,300 days? That's like a little 6 years and about 30 days. Okay, that's how I figured it out. All right? Now, I'm not prophesying, and I'm sure not doing that other thing. They say some people prophet lie. I'm not trying to do any of that. I just want you to see some things here. I want you to see some things here that are going on. Because let me tell you, I'm going back to my subject. God heard us the first time. I have the windows open, so that noise, I didn't know it was going to be that noisy, but it's a Friday night, and these people act like this avenue is a freeway. All right, so let me go back to this. All right, now I want to go to the Living Bible, and I don't know how many minutes I'm on here. Let me check my camera. I don't like to, as some people say, belabor the time. I don't like to do that. I always try to fix my clothes, and they always bounce back for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, we're into 22 minutes and 19 seconds, so we're doing good. Doing really good. Okay. Oh, let me get here. I'm in the Living Bible now. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, I had another dream similar to the first. He said, this time I was in Susa, the capital of the province of Elam, standing beside the Ulai River. As I was looking around, I saw a ram with 2 long horns standing on the riverbank, and as I watched, one of these horns began to grow, so that it was longer than the other. The ram butted everything out of its way, and no one could stand against it or help its victims. It did as it pleased and became very great. While I was wondering what this could mean, suddenly a buck goat appeared from the west so swiftly that it didn't even touch the ground. This goat, which had one very large horn between its eyes, rushed furiously at the 2-horned ram, and the closer he came, the angrier he was. He charged into the ram, and broke off both his horns. Now the ram was helpless, and the buck goat knocked him down and trampled him, for there was no one to rescue him. My. The victor became both proud and powerful. But suddenly, at the height of his power, his horn was broken, and in its place grew 4 good-sized horns, pointing in 4 directions. One of these, growing slowly at first, soon became very strong and attacked the south and east and warred against the land of Israel. He fought against the people of God, and he defeated some of their leaders. He even challenged the commander of the army of heaven by canceling the daily sacrifices offered to him and by defiling his temple. But the army of heaven was restrained from destroying him for this transgression. You hear that? But the army of heaven was restrained from destroying him for this transgression. As a result, truth and righteousness perished, and evil triumphed and prospered. Now, I want to interject here, and you've heard me say it before. God knows what's happening. God is definitely in control. He knows everything that's going on, and he's allowing things to happen at this time. He's allowing things to happen. But remember, everything is controllable by God. Okay? So this part here, this 12th verse here, and this is the 8th chapter of Daniel, and this is the Living Bible part. But the army of heaven was restrained from destroying him for this transgression. My. As a result, truth and righteousness perished, and evil triumphed and prospered. Does that seem familiar to you? Then I heard two of the holy angels talking to each other. One of them said, "How long will it be until the daily sacrifice is restored again? How long until the destruction of the temple is avenged and God's people triumph?" The other replied, 2,300 days must first go by. And as I was trying to understand, this is Daniel, and this is the Living Bible version, okay? As I was trying to understand the meaning of the vision, suddenly a man was standing in front of me, or at least he looked like a man. And I heard a man's voice calling from across the river, "Gabriel, tell Daniel the meaning of this dream." So Gabriel started toward me, but as he approached, I was too frightened to stand and fell down with my face to the ground. "Son of man," he said, "you must understand that the events you have seen in your vision will not take place until the end times come." I repeat, "Son of man," he said, "you must understand that the events you have seen in your vision will not take place until the end times come." Then I fainted, lying face downward on the ground. But he roused me with a touch and helped me to my feet. "I am here," he said, "to tell you what is going to happen in the last days of the coming time of terror. But what you have seen pertains to that final event in history. The two horns of the ram you saw are the kings of Media and Persia. The shaggy-haired goat is the nation of Greece, and its long horn represents the first great king of that country. When you saw the horn break off and four smaller horns replace it, this meant that the Grecian Empire will break into four sections and four kings, none of them as great as the first. Toward the end of their kingdoms, when they have become morally rotten, an angry king shall rise to power with great shrewdness and intelligence. His power shall be mighty, but it will be satanic strength and not his own, prospering whenever or wherever he turns, and he will destroy all who oppose him through their armies, or though they be mighty, and he will devastate God's people. He will be a master of deception, defeating many by catching them off guard as they bask in false security. Please listen to this. He will be a master of deception, defeating many by catching them off guard as they bask in false security. Without warning, he will destroy them. So great will he fancy himself to be. Yeah, get this now. So great will he fancy himself to be that he will even take on the prince of princes in battle. But in so doing, he will seal his own doom, for he shall be broken by the hand of God, though no human means could overpower him. And then in your vision, you heard about the 2,300 days to pass before the rites of worship are restored. The number is literal and means just that. But none of these things will happen for a long time, so don't tell anyone about them yet. Then I grew faint and was sick for several days, and this is Daniel. Okay. Afterward, I was up and around and again and performed my duties for the king, but I was greatly distressed by the dream and did not understand it. They did not understand the dream. What is God saying? He's saying to us, I heard you the first time. He heard our prayer. He heard what we prayed for. The answer is on the way. And those things that we have prayed about in the past have already been answered, some of them. Some of them came immediately. Some of them might have come in a certain amount of time. But even what you're asking him for today, the enemy is trying to block the answer from you. He blocked Daniel's answer for 21 days, but the Spirit of God got through and came down and delivered the word to Daniel. Let me tell you something. He heard you the first time. He heard you the first time. So just thank him right now for victory, for deliverance, for whatever is needed. Thank the Lord right now. Victory is here. We have the victory. I guarantee we have the victory. We have to go through the process. But God is yet in control. And I should put and yet he is in control, because he is definitely in control. He's never lost control. He's never lost control. Whatever is going on is only because God allows it. But let me tell you this, and I want to bring it to your remembrance. I want to remind you that for those of us who love God, he wants the best for us. He is protecting us. He's supplying our need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. If our ways please him, he will give us desires of our heart. He heard you the first time, so there's no need to just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Your faith in God is what gives the victory. And so it seems like if we just keep asking the same thing over and over and over and over again, it seems like that we don't believe that the answer is on the way. Now, I'm saying it seems like if we don't believe that the answer is on the way because we've already asked him for it, then okay, it's a done deal and the answer is on the way. So now go to something else and pray about something else. Just remember, the evil spirits are all around and they're doing what they intend to do, and that's to hinder the saints of God from the blessings that God has for us, to hinder the world, to hinder and hold up the answers that God has for us. But be reassured that God heard you the first time. Help is on the way. Help is here. He heard you the first time you prayed. He gave you the answer the first time you prayed, but it was held up. He's sending it to you, so just hold on. He heard you the first time. I love you. Enjoy the remainder of your day, night, evening, whichever it is.